I'm Miss Janet. I work here at Pawtucket Public Library in the Children's Department. I hope that you will sign up for the summer reading program. To sign up, you just go to our website, www.pawtucketpubliclibrary.org, and there will be a link right there. If you click on the link, it will tell you everything you need to do to register for the program. And after you read 4 hours, you can make an appointment by calling the library and telling us when you want to come in to get your first prize. So every 4 hours, you're going to earn a prize. And then when you have done 12 hours of reading, you will be able to come to the library and join our raffle. We will be doing a raffle at the end of the summer, and some kids will get some really big prizes. So I hope that you will join the summer reading program. This summer our theme is Imagine Your Story. And so we're going to be talking about fairy tales, and I'm going to have some craft ideas to go along with the different stories that I'll be sharing. So today's fairy tale is Cinderella, and this one is written by Paul Galdone. Once there lived a nobleman who, after his first wife died, took for his second wife the haughtiest and proudest woman in the land. She had 2 daughters who were just like her. The nobleman himself had a daughter who was sweet and kind as her own mother had been. The stepmother was jealous of her husband's daughter, for the girl's goodness made her own daughter seem even more unpleasant. The stepmother commanded the girl to clean the house and wait on her and her daughters morning and night. While the girl slept in the attic on a straw mat, her stepsisters had fine rooms with soft beds and tall mirrors in which they could admire themselves from head to foot. She suffered all patiently, never complaining to her father. When her daily work was done, she would rest by the chimney among the ashes, and so her sisters gave her the nickname Cinderella. Cinderella, in her shabby clothes, was far more beautiful than her richly, nobly dressed stepsisters. That year, the king's son gave a ball and invited all the notables from far and wide, including Cinderella's stepsisters. They were soon busy choosing the gowns, petticoats, and headdresses that would be most becoming on them. This made more work for Cinderella, for it was she who did their mending and ironing. At last the great day arrived. The stepsisters' hair was arranged in the most fashionable styles, with ribbons from the best shops. The stepsisters called Cinderella for advice, since they trusted her help in making them look their best. While she waited on them, they asked, "Cinderella, would you not like to go to the ball?" "Oh, you are making fun of me," she replied. "It is not a place for such as I." "Ha ha, you are right," they said. "People would laugh to see a cinder maid at the ball." Cinderella was too sweet to be angry with them. But as she watched them set out for the ball, she could no longer hold back her tears. Suddenly, her godmother, who was a fairy, appeared. "Oh, what is the matter, child?" she asked. I wish I could," was all Cinderella could say through her sobs. "You wish that you could go to the ball, isn't that so?" "Yes," Cinderella agreed and sighed sadly. "Well," said the fairy godmother, "just be a good girl and I will see that you will go. First," she said, "run into the garden and bring me back a pumpkin." Cinderella hurried to find one and brought it to her fairy godmother, who struck it with her magic wand. Instantly, it turned into a fine golden carriage. Then her godmother opened the mousetrap and released 6 little live mice. She gently tapped each one with her magic wand. At once, the mice became an elegant set of fine, dapple, gray horses. "Now I must find something to change into a coachman," said the fairy godmother. Cinderella brought out the rat trap, and in it were 3 huge rats. The godmother chose the one with the longest whiskers, and when she touched it with her magic wand, it became a fat, jolly coachman who had the smartest mustache ever to be seen. "Now," she said to Cinderella, "go to the garden, child, and bring me back 6 lizards hiding behind the watering pot." The lizards were turned into footmen dressed in gleaming livery, and they stood in position around the coach as if they had been doing nothing else all their lives. The godmother then said to Cinderella, "Now you have a coach fit to carry you to the ball. Aren't you pleased?" "Oh, yes," cried Cinderella. "But can I go there just as I am in these nasty rags?" Her godmother waved her magic wand over Cinderella and turned her tattered clothes into a gown set with sparkling jewels. Her shoes were a pair of glass slippers, the prettiest in the world. Cinderella's godmother warned, "You must leave the ball before midnight, or the coach will once again become a pumpkin, the horses mice, the footmen lizards, the coachman a rat, and your clothes will become rags as before." "Oh, I promise, dear godmother." And Cinderella set off for the palace, bursting with joy. When Cinderella arrived at the ball, the king's son was told of the great princess whom nobody knew. He hurried to help her alight from the coach and led her to the great hall. The dancing stopped, the musicians ceased to play, and a murmur arose. "How beautiful she is!" The king whispered to the queen that it had been a long time since he had seen a girl so lovely. The men were fascinated by her beauty. The ladies studied her clothes so that they could have the same made just like them. The princess Cinderella to dance with him. She was so grateful that the company admired her more and more. Cinderella sat next to the prince at dinner, but he was so absorbed by their conversation that he did not eat a single bite. After dinner, Cinderella sat and spoke pleasantly with her sisters. She graciously shared some of the fruit the prince had given her. They did not recognize their shabby stepsister at all. When the clock struck 11:45, Cinderella curtsied deeply and hurried away as fast as she could. When she got home, Cinderella thanked her fairy godmother and said the prince had begged her to come again to another ball the following night. Before her godmother could say anything, her two stepsisters arrived. "How long you have stayed," Cinderella said, yawning and rubbing her eyes as if she had just woken up. "Oh, if you had been at the ball," said one of her sisters, "you would not have felt sleepy. A beautiful princess came there, one of the loveliest ever seen. She was so polite and even visited with us. But her name is a mystery. The prince would give anything to know who she is." Cinderella was secretly delighted. She smiled and said, "The princess must have been very beautiful indeed. How fortunate you have been. Oh, please, could you lend me a plain gown so I might go to the ball and see her too?" "Well, really?" cried her haughty stepsister. "Lend my clothes to a dirty cinder grub like you? Ha! I'd be a fool." Cinderella had expected such an answer. The next day, the two sisters were again at the ball. So was Cinderella. The prince spoke so kindly to her and stayed by her side all night. Cinderella forgot all about her godmother's warning. Suddenly, she heard the clock striking midnight. She fled from the ballroom. The prince followed her, but all he found was one of her little glass slippers. The guards at the palace gates had seen no one leave but a girl in ragged work clothes. Cinderella arrived home quite out of breath. Nothing at all of her finery was left but the single mate of the slipper that she had lost. When the sisters returned from the ball, Cinderella asked if the fine lady had been there. They said yes, but at the stroke of midnight she fled in such a hurry that she had dropped one of her little glass slippers, the prettiest in the world. The prince had picked it up and sat gazing at it for the rest of the evening. "He must be deeply in love with this beautiful princess," said the younger stepsister, which was true. For a few days later, the king's herald read a proclamation that the king's son would marry the girl whose foot the slipper fit. The prince's messengers went about trying the slipper on all the women in the land. It was even brought to the two stepsisters. Neither could force her foot into the little slipper. Finally, Cinderella laughed and said, "Why not let me see if it will fit?" The sisters sneered, but the king's messenger said it was only fair. As he placed the slipper on her small foot, he saw that it fitted as snugly as if it had made just for her. Then, to the amazement of her sisters, Cinderella drew out the other slipper from her pocket. Suddenly, Cinderella's godmother appeared and turned her rags into a gown even more magnificent than the ones she had worn before. The two sisters begged Cinderella to forgive them for treating her so badly. Cinderella hugged them and said that she still loved them with all her heart and asked them to always love her. Cinderella was taken to the young prince, and a few days later they were married. Cinderella, who was as good as she was beautiful, brought her two stepsisters to live with her at the palace, and soon they married two great lords of the court. And that was Cinderella by Paul Galdone. Our craft is making a magic wand of our very own. So to get all the materials, you just call the Pawtucket Public Library and make an appointment to come in. Everything that you need will be at the front desk. So you will get an instruction sheet and a paper bag. And inside the bag is a piece of colored cardstock and a wooden stick. So all you need to do is cut out the star pattern, and then you trace the star pattern onto the cardstock, and you want to make two of these. So then you're going to cut out the two stars, and at this point, if you want, you can decorate your stars with glitter glue or glitter, or you could use magic markers to color, or crayons. You could put sequins or beads or tissue paper on your magic wand, so you can make the stars look any way you want. So then you do the two stars decorated, and you are going to glue them back to back with the stick in the middle. And let the glue dry, and you have a magic wand. And let the magic begin. Have fun. I will be back next week with another fairy tale and craft. Thanks for tuning in.